Hey everyone, so last night we finally got our first real brawl of the season, first really noteworthy fight event of the year. The Flames and Red Wings blowout game, 8-2 game. They just last 5 minutes or so just were absolutely fantastic, and Luke started with Luke Witkowski and Brett Kulak getting a fight, no big deal, just normal fight. And then as Witkowski is being escorted to the locker room, Matt Tkachuk, officially he speared him, but he really just tapped Witkowski on the legs as he went into the locker room. And then Witkowski turned around, came back out from going down the hallway to the locker room, back out onto the ice, and everyone just piled in, and we turned into an all-out brawl. It was absolutely awesome to see. Finally something happened this season. This season has been extremely boring and dull, especially physically. Nothing has really gone on at all so far. The closest thing we had to anything like this was the Los Angeles Anaheim game last week, but finally something happens. It's about time. This league has gotten so boring, and when things like this happen, it's awesome that it really brings the excitement level up. I hope more things like this happen tonight. I hope that this opens the floodgates and that we finally get some physical action this season. It was great to see. I mean, multiple fights, goaltenders involved, benches involved. It was just fantastic, old-time hockey. The league needs a lot more of this. The league needs the temperature to go way up. The league needs the physicality to go way up. The league is turning into watching guys just skate around, and they cannot. It's not worth watching if that's going to be the case. They need the physical element. They need the nastiness. They need the hatred. And these two teams, who see each other twice a year, have no real rivalry at all. Cross-conference teams, they never see each other, and this happens. So that's really awesome to see. I hope as we get into more divisional games and conference rivalries, that those games take it up a notch, because those are the games. It shouldn't be the cross-conference games that get like this. It should be the division rivalries and the conference rivalries, and we haven't seen that yet this year. So hopefully this kind of opens the floodgates and starts things off, and then for the rest of the season we get some more action, because right now the fight per game rate is below 0.25. There's less than one fight every 4 games. That's the lowest it's been since probably the early 60s. It's not. It needs to be higher, because games like this are exciting. Events like this are exciting, and it's the entertainment value. It's absolutely entertaining to watch and awesome to see. Last year, the floodgates opened on November 1st. There were 13 fights in 11 games last year on November 1st, and including a brawl game between the Kings and Ducks. And then from then on, the floodgates opened, the fight rate spiked, and we ended up last year with fighting going up from the year before. So yesterday was November 15th, around the same time of the year. Hopefully this opens the floodgates, fighting goes up, and we end up at least up near where we were last year, hopefully even higher. But it's been a really slow start to the year physically, and then this just breaks out of nowhere. Hopefully it leads to more things like this, and more fighting, and more physicality, and more real hatred between teams, because there's really none of that in the league right now. If you watched hockey 10 years ago and then stopped watching it and then watched it right now, it doesn't even look like the same game or the same league. there's no animosity between these teams at all. And if there is they don't do anything about it. The little jab with the sticks and maybe a face wash after the whistle, but no one actually does anything. Things like this where you almost expected it 10 years ago. Things like this were going to happen. Now it's a rare spectacle when something finally does happen. And I think that's unfortunate for hockey and unfortunate for the NHL. If you want to see physical hockey and real old-time hockey, you've basically got to watch the ECHL at this point. The AHL still has it a little bit, but they have a fight cap at 10 fights for the season for their players. So while they still have a lot of fighting, their fight rate I think is at 1 every other game. I think it's 0.5. So they have a fight every other game still. But it used to be 1 per game, just a few years ago. So they capped stupidly, they capped the player. Each player could only fight 10 times in a season before it leads to a suspension. And now fighting's half of what it used to be in that league. So the ECHL is really the last one left to see old-time hockey and real nastiness. But this was just awesome. I've been watching the replay quite a few times last night and again this morning. Love seeing some real hatred in the league. I just hope that there's more of it. I hope this opens it up and there's more of it, because this season has been a drag so far. There's just been way too much. Oh, hey buddy, how you doing? Just skate around for a couple hours. Maybe put a puck or two in the net and then go home. It seems like there's no actual animosity between a lot of these teams, and hockey is much better when there's animosity. So check it out if you haven't seen it yet. It's a pretty good brawl. Certainly nothing by old time standards. If this had happened even 10 years ago, and certainly earlier, instead of just the 2 fights and some pushing and shoving, you would have had at least 4 or 5 fights, a goalie fight, and possibly guys coming off the bench. But 2017 now, and you got 2 fights out of it and a lot of pushing and shoving. Of course, the league now is probably going to freak out and whine and cry about violence or whatever. Hockey's better when it's violent, and that's just the way it is. So awesome to see. Check it out if you haven't seen it. I'm a huge fan. I love it. I hope there's more of this. The league needs a lot more of this. The league needs to become entertaining on a nightly basis again, and a lot of these games that they're putting out just aren't entertaining. So hopefully that changes, but I really don't see it changing. If anything, it will go the other way, and eventually I'm probably just not going to watch hockey as much, if at all. Maybe just watch the playoffs. Playoff hockey is totally different. There's way more intensity in the playoffs, but the regular season has gotten to a point where it is very, very boring and dull to watch. So like, comment, share, subscribe. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. I know there are certainly plenty of people who don't like fighting and don't like all the violence, and they're the exact opposite of me. I love it. I want more of it. But so yeah, follow on social media. Thank you for watching. Keep this channel growing. Talk to you guys soon.